You're listening to the first episode ever of Time Other Thieves, reflections and conversations on the nature of existence, originally aired in radio format on June 10th, 2021. I'm Sarah B., and in the weeks and months to come on this program, I look forward to exploring an array of philosophical and spiritual topics for your listening and learning pleasure. On some episodes, I'll interview local, regional, and perhaps more geographically distant people who are well versed on the topic in question, while on others, like today's, I'll be talking on my own about ideas that thrill me. A little background on me before I introduce today's topic. I do not have a degree in philosophy or religious studies. In fact, as an undergrad at Appalachian State University, philosophy was the only class I got a B in, marring my otherwise perfect transcript. I have a BA in English, an MFA in creative writing, and an MA in clinical mental health counseling. My studies in literature and psychology have exposed me to a diverse array of perspectives on the human condition, which is the most fascinating condition I can think of. Over the past decade or so, I've gradually shifted from reading mostly fiction, novels, to almost exclusively nonfiction texts, almost all of them in the philosophical, spiritual, or theological realm. I cannot seem to satisfy my craving for ever more insights on the human psyche and spirit. With this program, Time Other Thieves, a title borrowed from a line in Joni Mitchell's Furry Sings the Blues, my humble objective is to provide you, dear listener, with the kind of community-based learning experience that I myself have been seeking in Asheville for years. A place, if you will, to deepen and expand your understanding of the many beautiful and profound ways that some very wise people over millennia have come to see this thing we call life. And hopefully what you learn here will help you live your own precious life with more ease and curiosity. Choosing the focus of this first episode of Time Other Thieves was not difficult. When it comes to starting things, I always think of Julie Andrews and The Sound of Music, singing, "Let's start at the very beginning," a very good place to start. Looking back on the journey that has led up to this podcast being created, I quickly land on one book from which there was no turning back, Anthony de Mello's Awareness. I read this slender volume for the first time in 2013 while living in Tucson, Arizona, and it cracked something open inside of me. It created a space that no amount of subsequent studies or practices have even come close to filling, but it sure has been enlivening to try.